streaming yet? I can't quite tell if we're streaming yet.
It looks
Delene?
like we are.
Okay, great, thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the regular monthly meeting of the Land Use and Building Management Committee of the Common Council. It is February 7th, 2025. I'm calling this meeting to order at 7:01. Roll call tonight. We have
fifth. Sorry, I just wanted to correct that, Barbara. It's the 5th today.
the 5th. What did I say? Sorry. The 5th. It's the 5th. February 5th, 2025. Tonight we have with us council members Nicole Eady, Greg Burnett, Nicole Ayers, Heather Dunn, DeJuan Wiggins, and myself, Barbara Smith. Not able to be with us tonight is council member Jim Frayer. Next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting of January 7th, 2025. Do I have a motion, please? Ms. Ayers, thank you very much. Are there any corrections, deletions? Mr. Burnett?
Yes, on page 3 of the minutes, in the middle of the page, it indicates that Mr. Burnett asked if there were any dates as relates to the community center, and that word should be gates, G-A-T-E-S, not dates, D-A-T-E-S. I asked about any gates, any obstacles with us moving forward. That was the only correction I had.
Great, thank you. Any others? Okay, all in favor of the minutes as amended, please signify by raising your hand. And okay, Mr. Wiggins. Okay, that's unanimous. Moving on to public participation. Do we have anyone who would like to speak tonight?
Yes, we do. Ms. Lauricella, you are unmuted.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Smith, Commissioner or council members and staff, and those other guests. For the record, my name is Diane Lauricella, 21 Little Fox Lane. Tonight I wanted to speak to a few things in my 3 minutes. The first is, of course, no surprise, old business item 5B, the South Norwalk PV discussion and action. First of all, Madam Chair, I wanted just to put on the record that there is a need for consideration to reinstate the Facilities Construction Committee. Why, you may ask, and for those of you council members that are new, it's because in the past, that committee included people that were in the business. They were community members that wanted to give of their time, but had kind of like they were like a second or third opinion, and often brought to the fore some very creative suggestions that they had lived experience in the business of construction. Also, I believe that would allow us to finally depart from the current bad policy implementation of the use of renewables on public buildings, both in the Board of Ed as well as the City of Norwalk. I had the benefit of speaking to Mr. Westmoreland, Mr. Huth, some of you about this over many, many, many months. And I particularly am against the rewording of number 1 at the end, because it makes it sound like any financial viability of PV installation at all is unworkable in the South Norwalk district. And quite frankly, that is not true. And while I do know that much of South Norwalk's electricity is sourced through the magic of the grid system from renewable energy sources, and that is a good thing, that should not excuse our city, who has a stated mission in both the POCD and consistently, whenever it comes up, that we want to be one of the greenest cities in the state, that we would like to green up our city. Again, it's a noble goal. I'm, of course, in favor of it, but I really am tired of the excuses that are always given especially in South Norwalk, when it comes to use of making electrons. There is no way that making electrons could not be offset. It's free, even though you need infrastructure, you need a grid, but I just am very much opposed to the wording that was modified in order, quite frankly, I agreed that it sounded like it was SNOO's fault that this wasn't going to go through, and that wasn't fair. It's not SNOO's fault. It is the city of Norwalk's bad policy for putting solar both on rooftops, ground mounted, and carports throughout the city on public property. You all, as we're coming up to a municipal election, will have to make
Ms.
sure you talk
Lauricella,
about.
you're at 3 minutes and 10 seconds. If you could wrap up.
Okay, I will. I just feel the financial feasibility is there. It's just that this was not explored because they never really seriously intended on that. And I will wait until your meeting next Tuesday about the bad policy implementation of taking out underground storage tanks and immediately going to gas when there is a pipe nearby instead of looking at renewable energy. These are policies that you keep repeating. You allow the staff, and I think if you had a facilities construction committee, you could also hear from other people in the business, not just the staff and not just the staff's consultants that want to keep getting contracts. So thank you for the time. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Lauricella. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
There is not.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I will close public participation and move on to old business. Old business tonight, item A, land swap of portion of Fodor Farm with adjacent neighbor at 25 Pogany Street and refer recommendation to Common Council for final action. 1, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all documents relating to the proposed equal land swap with property owner of 25 Pogany Street for a portion of Fodor Farm property. Will someone move the item, please? Ms. Ayers, thank you. So this item came to the council several months ago. We did have a couple of different discussions on it and a public hearing, and we moved that on unanimously to the Planning and Zoning Commission, who in turn have also approved it. And so now it's back to us for a final approval to move on. Alan, do you want to just...
Yeah, good evening. 25 Pogany Street, Doug Peoples, he acquired the property from the city probably like 20 years ago, 15 to 20 years ago. It was a piece of property. It's part of originally part of Fodor Farm. The city acquired the property originally. It was going to do to move the Brookside School onto that property, but at some point the city decided not to do that anymore. But out of 11 acres, the city acquired the property with 9 acres being funded by the state for open space. So there's two acres that was not acquired for open space. So as part of that, the property had 3 houses on it. All 3 of them are very, very badly abandoned. There's animals living in it and stuff like that. So the city sold 2 of the 3 houses, and with the condition that whoever purchased it would actually renovate the building instead of tear it down and build new. The city at the time has an interest in protecting the architecture, even though they're not historic building. The character of those houses are important to the community. And so with the 25 Pogany Street, Doug Peoples bought the property and actually renovated, and he had been living there since. This is exactly what the city was hoping, that somebody would buy this property, store it, and be part of the community. And he has lived up to those terms and conditions of the original sale of the property. There's no like a deadline how long he'd live on the property, but he was committed to staying in town and start flipping the property. Through the years, he used an area that's kind of like he needs some open space on the outside for activity kind of thing. But the portion of the property that we sold him is fully wooded. But in lieu of like cutting down trees to create a little bit open space for him to use, he suggested to us that he would swap a portion of his property with a portion of city property, so there's no net gain on either side. At the same time, we protect it so that he doesn't need to cut down tree. We save him a few dollars. But at the same time, to protect the woods in the Fuller Farm. So we thought that was a good idea in terms of balance and commitment to each other kind of thing. So went for committee, went for public hearing, went to a planning and zoning commission, and the reason I brought it back tonight is so that everybody's familiar with it. So, but when I sent to Common Council, when the committee referred this to Common Council next Tuesday, everybody would know what it's about, so that so in case somebody forget why we're doing this. So that's basically sums it up. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Alan. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, yeah, we have had quite a bit of discussion on this. So I'll go ahead and call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. And Mr. Wiggins, that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to item B, South Norwalk School photovoltaic discussion and action. Alan, should we do these separately or together?
Yeah, you can do it together.
Okay.
It's yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. So item 1, approve to discontinue discussions with SNU CMEC on a partnership to develop PV renewable energy generation at South Norwalk School due to SNU's, as a municipal utility company, commitment to provide favorable electric generation rates to the South Norwalk community, which impacts significantly on the financial viability of PV installation. And 2, authorize building management staff to continue to assess the financial feasibility for the installation of a rooftop PV system at South Norwalk School as a capital improvement project in the event that residual funds are available from the school construction project. Upon development of a financial pro forma for this scenario, staff will submit analysis to the committee for consideration. Will someone move both of those items, please? Mr. Burnett. Thank you. Okay, so we've had a couple of months worth of discussions on this and some questions. And so I thought it would be a good idea just to clarify everything that we have been through and what the challenges have been, to invite Alan Huth, who is the CEO and General Manager of SNU, and David Westmoreland, who is on the Board of Directors, as well as a taxing commissioner in the community. And so I think what I'm going to do is just, Alan, if you could just quickly explain. So, because
Sure.
we've had several conversations, and one thing is just the matter of bringing it to an actual vote of this committee. This is not something that's going to go on to the Common Council, but the first thing I want to say is to thank you for your utmost and absolute transparency in everything that you do and everything you work on, because that is what you have done by bringing this to this committee, to just make sure that, we know about your efforts to make this happen. I know that it was your idea. You've said that this was your idea to go to SNU and ask about these possibilities. And just to, just really be transparent about what you were trying to make happen, and then, why we're actually voting on it. And then we can, discuss what the discussions were between you and SNU.
Thank you. I think I just want to first by saying that almost 2 years ago now that I came when we were working on the South Norwalk School, looking at the property and the proposed building. There was an opportunity to potentially do a ground mounted system in addition to our typical rooftop system that we do. And from that point on, I approached SNU, Alan. I haven't really talked to David about this, but we approached Alan and his staff, and also folks on CMAC to consider this potential partnership between the city and SNU and CMAC to implement a project. And I think throughout this conversation, I think both sides are very proactive and positive about possibility of doing this. I mean, that's the reason why you spend a year and a half, almost 2 years, I think, talking about it, spending time and energy and staff time to look at the possibility to do this. There's not a lot of opportunity for city property, being an urban city, to have land to potentially do a ground mounted system. Typically, it would be a less expensive proposition to do a ground mounting system. I thought, and also Alan thought that there's a possibility here, and that's why I spent a lot of time on this to see where this idea can be materialized. Through this conversation, SNU actually went out and gone through RFP process and to get a financial performance developed to see what the feasibility of this partnership is. At the end of the day, the way it's going to be structured, there are different requirements and regulation that certain things we can and cannot do. But at the end of the day, the proposal that me and Alan look at is that the city, the solar system on the roof would be before the term is before the meter. So it's not like after the meter we have the solar system on the roof. It's we will be paying for electricity in the future, consistent with what we would normally do. So, if we're paying whatever we pay now, we will continue to pay that in the future. So there's really no cost saving to the city. But at the same time, the city will put up the land and the building for SNU's use to develop a system, a rooftop and a ground-mounted system. I believe the projected kilowatt hour per year is about 1.3 million. The building will use about a million kilowatt hours a year. So there would be actually surplus from this system. At the same time is that when the proposal came in and the evaluation of the proposals, it's projected there's some operating losses in the initial years, and to the point that there's some concern about how much that is, and also I believe SNU actually evaluated this and proposed a cap of potential losses. I think it's $25,000. And then if there is excessive of that amount in terms of losses, the city will be responsible for the cost difference. So based on all this discussion, I felt that I think we take it as far as we can in terms of see how this would work and could work. And at the end of the day, we don't think it's I don't think it's a financial feasible for the city. So that's why we are. The reason I'm bringing to the committee to discussion is because this is not a contract that the city has executed with SNU or anything like that. It's really a conversation, a internal staffing idea that we're trying to develop. But since this is our conversation has been somewhat public in terms of presented to Planning and Zoning Commission and other bodies of the city, I want to bring it to the committee so that the committee is fully aware that we had these conversations, worked on a year and a half on this, and if it doesn't seem like it's going to come true, then I would like the committee to know and just so aware of what we have worked on and why it doesn't work, and also there's still a possibility, but I don't think it's a strong possibility, but I'm still committed to look at whether we can find ways to implement just a rooftop system. The city is allowed under the current regulation to install a system that would be about 75% of the consumption requirement. I'm not sure I'm using the right term of the building usage. So we can still do this, but the issue we need to consider is that at the present time, the city can still get federal tax credit. There's two levels. One is 30%, one is 40%. I believe the city can get 40% tax credit for the project, but then there would not be any incentive except some minor amount from the SNU. I think it's like $5,000 maybe that can contribute to the project. So what I will do is that as we get closer to the end of the project, I have to look at the total capital budget that's allocated to the project to see if there's any excess dollar amount available. And then I would work with a PV developer to do some calculation, and probably will issue RFP to see whether the city can do this as a capital budget project. So we got to calculate the debt service on the money that we need to put up and see whether there's any savings from it for the next 20 years or so. So again, there's another level of evaluation and consideration. The other thing I would also look to is that there is a potential that the state DAS would consider reimbursement for solar development on a school project, but I'm not sure they will look at it positively because this is like another request of the city kind of thing for this project. So in any event, so I'm going to look at all those options and come back to the committee with a financial performance to see whether the city can still implement a rooftop solar system for this project. We typically do solar project after about 6 months to a year after we finish the construction. Because one of the concerns that we have is that when we put a new roof, even this brand new roof, is very likely, very common to have miscellaneous leaks here and there because of the new roof and certain joints are not done correctly sometimes. And so we like to wait, typically we would like to wait 6 months to a year. So make sure that all the minor issues are taken care of within that initial startup period before we put a solar system on top. So we have time for that. But again, there's going to be challenges to do a solar system by the city, but we will continue to look at it as we move forward. So with that, I want to pass it over to David and Alan for their comments.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. I think you summed it up pretty well. And, contrary to earlier comments, solar is not free. And solar installers, when they put together a purchase power agreement, it's basically like it's a loan, and they want to make interest and money on these products. So the sun is free, but the equipment is not. And I also want to just mention that, as SNU, we're perfectly in favor of green energy. We work with CMEC to promote the purchase of green energy. And I think that what Alan said was that, we're in complete support of a smaller size system, rooftop mounted system, and we'll be here to support that when that comes. But, we want to continue to provide, the lowest possible rates to our customers. And, our area is so small, we just can't fundamentally subsidize these projects, given the, kind of diverse makeup of South Norwalk. That's all we serve. So, the Eversource territories are different. And I think that's one, the costs are spread out over a much greater area. But again, the rates in Eversource. I mean, I live in Norwalk. I've lived here for over 20 years. I wish I was a SNU customer. My electric rates are Eversource. They're out the window. But we're here to work with the city, on future projects, this project, the rooftop mounted system. But as Alan Lowe had pointed out, the economics of this larger project, just are not favorable at this time.
So I would just add a couple of things to that. And you may have heard this already, so I apologize if I'm repeating because I haven't been to your other meetings on this subject. The whole solar issue is a tough one for SNU. We're second taxing district, which is SNU, is a municipal corporation, just like the city of Norwalk. We're essentially a nonprofit. We budget to make no money at the end of the year. We just want to cover our cost and cover our future capital projects. Eversource, which is for profit, they have a variety of ways that they can recover a subsidy. So they heavily subsidize solar. It doesn't really impact their business because they basically include it in their rates to all their other customers that don't have solar. And they would say that they decrease their margin and their profitability, but they're very smart and they really don't. And because we have we're a low income community, we don't feel right about passing subsidy costs for solar on to spreading that around to all of our customers, many of which are low income. So that's why we have the policies we have today. We always do review these things. I would say, and it's a fairly dramatic difference, as Alan touched on. Last year, we were literally our electric rates were 49% less than Eversource. I don't even remember the United Illuminating number is probably 60. And as far as monthly tracking, I think we're still pretty much tracking pretty close to that for this year as far as Eversource goes. So they have a significant ability to, because the rates are so much higher, to subsidize provide much more generous subsidies than we do to solar. The Second Taxing District Commission did vote because the South Norwalk School is in our district, and we care about it, obviously, a lot. And that's why we voted to provide, to underwrite up to a $25,000 subsidy for any losses that take place with that. And it's a tough one. I mean, I understand the city's position on all of this to sort of future guess, where energy prices are going to go. Who knows? I would say in the very long term, prices are going up, but the current administration is going to encourage, more drilling of fossil fuels and things like that. And we currently don't have a supply problem. So if you add more supply to the market, that looks like it's going to happen, prices are going to go down in the short run. And based on more fossil fuels, we working with CMEC, which we jointly own with 7 other municipalities. Both Alan and I are on the board of CMEC. We have a policy to buy green energy where we can. We have long-term renewable energy contracts, and 67% of the power we supplied to our customers last year was from renewable resources, not fossil fuels. So, I think the upside of all of this is that at least South Norwalk South Norwalk School will be getting, near 70% renewable energy without the solar panels, which is, I think Eversource may be at like 25, 30%. So I think we're doing pretty well on those fronts. As the Land Use Committee, as a taxpayer, I would encourage all of you to support every solar project that you can get in Eversource territory, because those are almost always financially viable. Anyway, I'll stop talking because I can just go on. But we appreciate your attention. I think we've enjoyed working through the issues on this. And as Alan said, we this is our school, and we're going to do anything we can to support it going forward. If you come up with a better solution, we're happy to support that going forward. But if it's not financially viable for the city, that's perfectly fine. So you're muted, Barbara.
Sorry. Thank you all for that. I think it really helps bring things together that, through all of the negotiations, there's no blame here. This is a situation that you both really tried to work out to your very best abilities, and it is just not feasible. And I want to be clear that we're talking about 2 separate issues here, right? Well, in terms of the PV renewable energy generation, that is a separate project that it's, ground mounted, correct? This is what we were talking about, was the ground mounted on the back part of the property. The second part is really what we will continue discussing and continue to try to make happen, which is the rooftop solar. So, I just want to make sure that's really clear that it's 2 separate things, and it's the ground-mounted energy generation that just couldn't be worked out. So I just want to, open it up to any questions or comments that any members of the committee might have. Mr. Burnett?
Yes, Madam Chair. I guess my only question is around, as we look back at this whole experience, should we have brought the discussion of the rooftop solar into the design phase earlier in the process? Bottom line is, are there any lessons learned as a result of where we're at right now?
I guess I could answer that, or offer to at least offer an answer. The rooftop system was looked at in conjunction with the rear yard, so they were both looked at. We had Alan Lowe had investigated. We had plans for both. So as far as the actually doing the project, the lessons learned here is that it's really the size of the project that I think was the problem, the scale of it. whereas I think a rooftop system would be better suited.
I think
I just want to respond to that, Mr. Burnett, because I think, gives having been a teacher all those years, I think about that reflection. We always want to reflect on what we might have been able to do differently or better. And so, I think that one of the things that might be an issue, and this is for Alan Lowe, is, there are discussions that you have with the Planning and Zoning Commission, right? And unless we're there watching those meetings and watching those discussions, we might, you may give us a report or something, but we might not get all that information. So I wonder if that's an area where we might be able to, improve upon that communication.
I think for me personally, I think the lesson learned is that, contrary to some people may think, I mean, I on behalf of city, I mean, I'm doing everything I can to, from all the conversation we have, especially with this, I thought there was a good opportunity for us to do more than just a rooftop. I think that's what triggered this strategy that I try to develop. And there are regulations around with SNU that I didn't realize at the time, that the maximum load that we can create 75% of the maximum size system is 75% of the building load. So I think that so what it does is it's get this, because of the size of this project, it turned it into a project that cannot be developed by the city. It has to be developed by SNU because it's become so that it's their generation, not a third party or a property owner's generation. So it changes the perspective how a project is being looked at. And I think the other thing I learned, a couple of things that is that I think I don't mean to be whatever. I think that when we look at other projects like 98 South Main Street, which is a new recreation center, I think there's the same challenge that the city will have, because the only potential funding source we can get for that project is from tax credit. It limits our ability to look at the financial aspect of it, to be the project to be financial feasible. So it would take another evaluation and all. And I think it's I think the effort that we had to go in to do this, it's real effort. It's not like I'm Alan Lowe is going to go and just make up some number and show it to the council and the committee kind of thing. It is something that we go through either RFP, or we go through a solar developer to look at this and give us numbers to see how it works. So I think that, again, I think that the thing that I learned is that when we look at another project like the 90 South Main Street, it's also another challenge. So again, when I bring it to the committee, we're going to have the similar conversation about was this feasible. Then I will bring in all the numbers that I can get from the private sector to see how this will work or doesn't work or doesn't work. And the last thing I just want to say before I assume that committee is going to take a vote and run the action that's in front of you, I just want to thank Alan and Dave, SNU, because all through this project, I mean, it's a very difficult and financially challenging conversation evaluation. I think both sides, the city and SNU, was very proactive in trying to make this work. So I don't want anybody to leave, or the public listening to this conversation, think that the two entities are not active or positive about this effort. I mean, I spent a year and plus over this, talking about how many meetings do we have, Alan? I don't know, 20, 30, 20 meetings, whatever. Yeah, and all the process, we spent your staff time and money, and the city spent to see how this works. And it doesn't work. But at the same time, we actually increase the building structurally to support a solar system. So the ability for us to look at this in the future is still there. So it's not like once we do in the future, for whatever reason, or financial works better, and the potential of putting a system on that roof is still there. So again, I think that we haven't eliminated the possibility, but I just want to go through tonight so everybody understand that as much of the effort that we put in for the last year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is, that it's not going to go through. But I just want everybody to understand that I don't want to tie up any more Alan staff time and Snooze staff time to continue a conversation that I don't feel that it's being productive. So again, it's not. It's I want to thank Alan and Dave for everybody's effort on this. Thanks.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you all and others who may have been involved that may not be here tonight for all of your efforts. Ms. Ayers.
I just want to say, I joined this committee about 4 years ago, and we were talking, I think at that time, if my memory serves me, about Jefferson and the improvements on Jefferson. I really want to applaud you, Alan, because from 4 years ago to the conversations that we're having now about solar, it's totally different. We have, as a city, progressed in this conversation. We have made substantial efforts to include solar in all of our conversations. Prior, and this is not anything that residents would know because we just did our job, it was us saying, hey, what about solar? Now it's more of the city staff saying, and this is what it's going to be about solar. So I really want to identify that and acknowledge that, Alan, that the conversation, and everybody's not privy to that, and they should be, but the conversation has shifted, and it has shifted in a way that solar is more, not only solar, but any alternative power is more of a conversation than it was just 4 years ago. And if you think about the grand scheme of things, 4 years ago does seem like a long time, but it really is not a long time. So the city workers, this committee has really made an effort, and I think we should applaud ourselves on really encompassing solar and other alternative and other cost-saving alternatives in our discussions when we're talking about buildings in general. So I just wanted to give that, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ayers. And, I've been on this committee for 8 years, and I can echo those comments. I think that, as time has gone by, there has been more and more and more of a commitment on the city part, certainly, and on the council part, to really push for more green energy. And I think that it has increased even more so in these recent years that we have seen such dramatic climate change issues with that we have to address. And so I again, I applaud you, Alan. I applaud other members of the staff for really taking this seriously and making it a priority. At the same time, thinking of the taxpayer, right? Because we want to do this where it makes sense and doesn't overburden our taxpayers. Mr. Wiggins.
Read it.
Dewan, you there?
Yes, I'm sorry. Hey Alan, hey everyone. I want to just say, I spoke to Alan probably it was a couple weeks ago, and I see how hard you guys work and the work that you guys put in. I know this was a long conversation our last meeting or second last meeting, but you guys put in a lot of work, and I really could commend you guys for that. Not only just after speaking with you, but the documents that you guys went over and so on and so forth. So I know people watching, people are going to say certain things, but I think you guys did a good job in responding. So we, like everyone else, I echo great job and continue to, put in the work because you guys are doing the work ultimately. And everyone is not going to be able to see what you guys are doing behind the scenes. So
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Wiggins. Okay, anything else? All right, I am going to call for a vote on those items 1 and 2. All in favor, please raise your hand. All righty, that is a unanimous vote. Thank you all so much. That has been a conversation that we needed to have. I want to thank Alan Huth for joining us and David Westmoreland. Really appreciate your time so much, and look forward to continuing more discussions on green energy with you.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. Anytime.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, let us move on to new business. Item A, Board of Education, approve contractor for the Brookside and Tracy Elementary School underground fuel tank removal projects. Item 1A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with B&W Paving and Landscaping LLC for the Brookside Elementary School oil tank removal project, State Project 103-0266CV, $196,000, and Tracy Elementary School oil tank removal and boiler igniter conversion project, State Project 103-0267CV, $391,000 for a total not to exceed $587,000, funding available in account numbers noted. And B, authorize the NPS Facilities Department to issue change orders on this contract, Brookside Elementary School Oil Tank Removal Project, State Project 103-0266 CV, Project State Project 103-0267 CV, $39,100 for a total not to exceed $58,700. Funding is available in account number noted. Will someone move the items, please? Mr. Burnett, thank you. I guess we'll turn this over to Bill Hodel from Norwalk Public Schools. Is this fully grant funded, Bill?
Yes.
Okay, great.
At the reimbursement rate of 60%.
60%, right. Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So this is the ongoing program where we are removing the underground oil storage tanks because they've reached their end of life. So Brookside Elementary School, which has gas and currently using gas, the tank has to come out since it's not even being used. At Tracy Elementary, gas has been run to the building at no cost from Eversource, and we plan to do two things: remove the underground oil storage tank, which is the same vintage as the previous ones we removed in 8 schools, and we're going to convert those boilers from oil-fired to gas-fired by means of the boiler vessel will remain in place, but the igniter would be replaced to gas-powered. We went out to bid, and B&W Landscaping and Paving has done this work for us in the past, a very reliable group. In addition to that, they did the rehabilitation of the parking lot and the driveways up at Silvermine. So they're a well-experienced group. We don't see any issues with them. They came in under the budget price, and we need to go to the next steps to get them a contract. So what you have in front of you today is the approval for B&W Landscaping to move this project forward.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Any questions? Mr. Burnett?
Yes, thank you. I'm just curious, how many more boilers do we have left? It seems like we've been taking out boilers all over Fairfield County. I'm only joking on that. How many do we have left?
Well, it's not the boilers, it's the underground storage tanks.
Yeah, that's what I mean, the underground storage, yeah.
So when I first started, we had about 20. Now we're down to about 4. We have, let's see, what do we have left? We have 46 Concord, if I remember. We have Brian McMahon. We have Norwalk High, which is going to be kind of incorporated into the construction projects. And we have West Rocks. We might have Briggs in the central kitchen as well. So now's the time to remove them. And, these are the ones that are up next.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've been chipping away at them for quite a while.
Yes.
Any other questions? Comments? Okay, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Mr. Wiggins, I didn't see your vote. I know we were having problems last night with your hand. Are you in favor? Mr. Wiggins? All right, there he is. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that passes unanimously. Moving on to item B, removal of asbestos tiles for Fox Run School. Number 1, authorize the chairman of the City of Norwalk Land Use and Building Management Committee to certify the City of Norwalk Land Use and Building Management Committee's approval of final plans, project manual, and cost estimate for the Fox Run Elementary School asbestos floor tile abatement and replacement floor tile project, State Project 103-0268CV. Will someone make the motion? Ms. Edie, thank you very much. We have talked about this particular project a few months back. I recall Fox Run has been on the slate for the asbestos abatement for this summer. Is that correct, Bill?
That is correct. So much like the underground oil storage tanks, we went to the state and filed an application for a state reimbursement for these projects. We were granted a project number, and we moved forward with a design engineer on the USTs, and in this case, an environmental consultant to start the process for asbestos removal. What's up tonight is they generated plans, specifications, and a professional cost estimate, of which we would need to take to the next step for a PCR, pre-construction review with the state. Once they approve that, they then allow us to go out to bid. We get the lowest price, and then we generate a contract through the mayor's office. So what's up in front of you tonight as the approval committee is these plans, specifications, and the professional cost estimate for the asbestos floor tile removal and floor replacement at Fox Run Elementary School.
Thank you. Are there questions, comments? Okay. All right, same thing. You're chipping away at the asbestos. So, well, not literally. You're fixing the asbestos.
Yes, we are removing it. Yes.
Right, removing it. Okay. No more questions, no comments. Okay. I'll call for a vote on that. All in favor, please raise your hand. All righty. That's unanimous. Perfect. Thanks, Bill. Moving on to item C, review bids for Tracy School air conditioning and electrical upgrades project and refer recommendation to Common Council for action. Number 1, A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Olympus Construction, a division of Cataruzza LLC, for the Tracy School air conditioning and electrical upgrades project for a total not to exceed $526,800. Funds are available in account number noted. And B, authorize the NPS Facilities Department to issue change orders on this contract for a total not to exceed $52,680. Funds are available in account number noted. May I have a motion? Ms. Ayers moves the items. Bill, that's you.
Okay.
Well,
So again, this is following another program, the asbestos program, the UST program, now the temporary air conditioning program, which we have done quite a few schools up to date. Tracy is up next. Unfortunately, this is not a state reimbursement project. We were able to provide the plans and specifications already through a MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineer, Salomon Associates. They developed the plans. We went out to bid, and we received 3 bids back through the city's purchasing department. Olympus is a construction group that does a lot of work for municipalities across the state. Currently, they are renovating, providing some renovation up in Stratford and I think West Hartford. We did a search for them since we haven't used them before. They've come back very well. They are using subcontractors to do this work, which we are very familiar with. So what we have in front of you today is approval of that contract, lowest bid, most qualified for Olympus.
I have a question for you, Bill. So this particular project at Tracy, this is following along, the plan that you've had all along, which is you're doing air conditioning in one school each year. Is that correct? Not a part of the HVAC grants that we received.
This is separate from the HVAC grant, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Ayers.
Just a quick question. First of all, thank God, because as a former Cub mom whose child had to come home many of a day because that building was scorching. Thank you on behalf of the staff and the children who are currently there. But I looked in the backup, and I might be overreading or not picking it up. When it's saying an upgrade of the system, are they getting central air or are they getting upgraded air conditioning units, which they already have?
Well, they have floor standing, undersized, inefficient air conditioning that the PTA purchased a number of years ago. That has been blowing the electrical circuits, and they're old and certainly not cutting it. So what we are doing now is we're not putting floor standing, we are putting window air conditioners, 15,000 BTU. The ones that the PTA bought were 5,000. And in some classrooms, we're putting 24,000 BTU. If there's a space that does not have a window, an interior space, we're putting what we call a mini split system. We install the evaporator on the wall, which provides the cooling, and then the condenser sits outside. So we are doing exactly what we did at Rhoden and Kendall and all of the other schools. We're following the same format. And there was suspect that the power at Tracy was not adequate. Turns out it is. We just need to run the power. That's where the electrical upgrade comes into play.
Okay, thank you for the clarity.
Okay.
Any more questions? Okay. Yeah, that air conditioning is so important in our schools. So I'm glad to see we're really making progress on that. Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. There we go. Unanimous. Thank you. All righty. Got my glasses ready. Item D, approve construction manager for 5 school HVAC projects. I'm going to read all of these together. We'll move them all together, items 1 through 5. Rowayton Elementary School, number 1, A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Newfield Construction Group, LLC, as a construction manager, CM, for the Rowayton School HVAC improvement project. Terms for the agreement shall be as follows. Pre-construction services, $21,044. CM contingency 1.85%, CM fee 2.20%, general condition amount to be determined as part of the GMP. Funds are available in account number noted. And B, authorize allowance for additional services for pre-construction services phase for a total not to exceed $2,500, account number noted. 2, Narramac Elementary, A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Newfield Construction Group, LLC, as a construction manager, CM, for the Narramac School HVAC improvement project. Terms for the agreement shall be as follows. Pre-construction services, $14,029. CM contingency, 1.85%. CM fee, 2.20%. General condition amount to be determined as part of the GMP. Funds available in account number noted. B, authorize allowance for additional services for pre-construction services phase for a total not to exceed $2,500, account number noted. 3, Marvin Elementary School. A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Newfield Construction Group, LLC, as a construction manager, CM, for the Marvin School HVAC improvement project. Terms for the agreement shall be as follows. Pre-construction services, $9,119. CM contingency 1.5%, CM fee 2.20%, general condition amount to be determined as part of the GMP. Funds are available and account number noted. B, authorize allowance for additional services for pre-construction services phase for a total not to exceed $2,500, account number noted. 4, Silvermine Elementary School. A, Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Newfield Construction Group, LLC, as a construction manager, CM, for the Silvermine School HVAC improvement project. Terms for the agreement shall be as follows. Pre-construction services, $7,015. CM contingency, 1.5%, CM fee, 2.20%. General condition amount to be determined as part of the GMP. Funds are available on account number noted. And B, authorize allowance for the additional services for pre-construction services phase for a total not to exceed $2,500, account number noted. 5, Brian McMahon High School. A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Newfield Construction Group, LLC, as a construction manager, CM, for the Brian McMahon High School HVAC improvement project. Terms of the agreement shall be as follows. Pre-construction services, $18,939. CM contingency, 1.5%. CM fee, 2.20%. General condition amount to be determined as part of the GMP. Funds are available on account number noted. And B, authorize allowance for additional services for pre-construction services phase for a total not to exceed $2,500, account number noted. May I have a motion? Ms. Ayers, thank you. All righty. Alan, take it away. You're muted, Alan.
Just a bit of background for most of you probably aware of this, but at the same time, I just want to go through this together one more time. Typically on these projects, I think what you saw before, what Bill presented to everybody, those improvements for $500,000 for AC and building, or $600,000, whatever it was before, it's really a window unit and split system. So the state do not consider that as permanent improvement. Equipment like that probably lasts between 12 to 15 years. So it's not that's part of the reason why they don't look at it as a reimbursable project. The project we're looking at here, last year, the state, well, actually more than last year, a couple of years ago, the state decided to do these HVAC projects grant. The first round of it, I think we submitted two projects, or some board of it submitted 2 projects. For different reasons, it wasn't approved by the state. Recently, last year, they decided to have the second round of this HVAC grant. We, together with Board of Education, submitted 6 projects. And fortunately, and we were actually awarded all 6 projects, so which is somewhat unusual. The total project cost for all 6 projects is about $36 million. And reimbursable rate of 60%. So the state is offering, giving the city roughly around $21 million for this $36 million projects. So it's a substantial amount of money that these projects are tapped into with the state as well as the city. So the submission deadline for this project was back in December 2023. So we actually went for a special appropriation process to acquire the city share of the money to do these projects. And with the state's approval, I think in May of last year, 2024, we started the process hiring the engineers and go through the design phase. The total of 6 projects. What we just read is 5 projects. So the thing I want to talk about a little bit is that these construction projects, it's very complicated. Certain school has abatement requirements. And by the time we go through design phases, we had to look at construction schedule. Delivering equipment takes between 14 to 16 weeks, which is about 4 months for delivery. And also because these projects are substantial, some of them, there's chances that we cannot finish in one summer. So it's a very complicated evaluation phasing process. And I think 1 or 2 schools may require upgraded electrical switches. That means that we can only do that when school is not in session, because we got all the electrical equipment get delivered. So the only time we can do it is summer. So the grant originally have an expiration or completion date of December 2025. We have since requested extension of that completion date to December 26, because we believe that we're going to take 2 summers to do these projects. Because for each individually, by the time we do abatement, potential do abatement this summer, and then we do the installation the year after. So it's really kind of complicated in some implementation. We also talk about the potential of actually doing some of this work during school year on second shift work on weekends so that we can get ahead of it during the school years. So there are, as we evaluate this, there's a possibility that we may actually whip out ceilings and stuff during school years without impacting, we wouldn't do it while the school, during 95 kind of thing, but we would do on weekends, on holidays and stuff. So there's a possibility that this, when kids are in school, some classroom may not have ceilings in it. So I just want you aware of it, because in order to do this, it just take every bit of like planning and strategizing to figure how we can implement these projects. So of all the 6 projects, we decided that Brookside School is one of the projects seems to be probably the easiest one to do because they're rooftop units. So basically, we remove the existing rooftop unit and drop the new ones. But the manufacturing schedule creates some potential issues. But we feel that it could still be done. So we actually fast track that project as the first project we're trying to develop the design drawings for. We went out to bid a month ago, roughly. We got bids back, and we actually, as an item below this, we're actually requesting committee and council approval to proceed with the contract for implementation on both sides. But for the other 5 projects, we are looking to hire a construction manager to manage this because there's a phasing strategy, all different things that we need to work to develop. So we actually issued an RFP for construction manager. We got 2 proposals, and we did interviews, and basically what we're recommending is new field construction for all 5 projects. We really didn't want like 2 different construction managers. One construction manager to do all 5 projects because it's just too much coordination with multiple construction manager. So what's in front of you tonight, it's approving the construction manager for all 5 projects so that we can start right away. And then we look to go out to bid on the immediate couple of things we want to do is replace the boiler. This, when we talk about HVAC, is more than air conditioning. It's heating as well and ventilation, right? HVAC. So the 2 primary projects we want to finish this summer. It's actually a boiler at Silver Mine and at Rowayton. Concurrently, we want the CM to be hired immediately so that they can help us assess the remediation needs of each of these buildings to see how much we can do or where we need to do something this summer, and also the schedule and phasing how we would develop and buy out the project, when to bid out the installation of equipment. There's also some of these projects require a new building management system, which manage all the units. But then, when they're going to install those equipment and all that, it takes a lot of thinking and planning in order to line everything up for construction coming summer as well as summer afterward. So again, in front of you is the request to hire the construction manager so they can help us manage and develop the detail of all these 5 projects. Meanwhile, me and Jim Giuliano's office is going to manage the Brookside project for development this summer, for construction of this summer. And I'll go through that later on when we get onto that item. And there's a little more to talk about when we get there. Anyway, so that's what's in front of us tonight.
Any questions or comments? It's just so great that we're in a position that we're able to do so many HVAC projects at the same time within such a, it's not actually at the same time, it's a 2-year process, but just to be able to tackle all of these for so many schools is just, it's an incredible gift. So, and a great benefit to our students. If there are no further questions or comments, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. Again, we have a unanimous vote. Thank you very much. And we will move on to item E. Approve bids for Brookside School HVAC Improvement Project, contractor recommendation to be provided. Oh gosh, do I have the wrong?
No, it's okay. I don't think we changed the wording on that.
I'm okay.
We actually amended the agenda already, so.
Yeah. And I thought I had printed out. I thought I had the most updated agenda, and I don't think this is correct, but approved bids, recommendation to be provided. 1, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement. hold on. Let me see if I can find the agenda on my computer so I can make sure I'm reading the right language.
Is that what you're reading? Is that the dollar amount?
There's a dollar amount in
Yes,
the.
that's the right one.
That's
That's
it.
right.
Okay. All right.
We
So
should
it's just
delete
to
the
be
wording.
provided at the meeting is just, I
Yeah,
can just
preview
leave that out.
language.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
cross that
All
out.
right. Okay. Contractor recommendation. Number one, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with F&F Mechanical Enterprises, Inc. for the Brookside Elementary School HVAC Improvement Project 103-005 HVACN for a total not to exceed $2,084,000. Funds are available in account number noted. And two, authorize the Office of Building Management to issue change orders on this contract for a total not to exceed $208,400. Funds are available on account number noted. May I have a motion? Mr. Burnett, thank you. Okay, Alan?
Yeah, again, the reason why we took this project out of the other 5 projects is 2 reasons, generally speaking. One is that the rooftop units in Brookside School, it's in very bad shape. I mean, Bill advised us that they're putting band-aids on it to just keep it going for last year kind of thing. So that's one of the reasons of being priority. The other thing is that because the rooftop project, it's not as easy as it seems, but it's really just taking the existing unit off the roof and and use a crane to drop a new unit on the same location. They don't always line up exactly, but at the same time is that it's more doable in terms of trying to expedite the project. So with that, we went to bid recently, I guess, and the bids came in. We actually do a scope review. We met with the contractor yesterday and go through the understanding of the project and the challenges that they anticipate. And we want to make sure that everything that we are concerned about and they are concerned about are addressed in the dollar amount that was submitted. We are very comfortable with this company. We did some reference check and they come highly recommended. And I think one of them, there's a detailed memo as part of the package. If you're interested in knowing a little more detail about where this project stands, or what the $2.04 million is for. Just for one last thing on this project is that we are concerned about delivering time. So even though the manufacturer are telling us that they could deliver the equipment by the end of July of this year, if we approve it now, there's always a risk of manufacturer not delivering the equipment on timely fashion. And generally speaking, there's no penalty on manufacturer. If for some reason they can't deliver on time, the project get delayed. So what we did is we talked to the contractor. So they are not going to disconnect any equipment until the delivery of the new equipment is generally speaking guaranteed, that they know it's coming on a truck, 2 days from now, next week kind of thing. So we're not going to disconnect anything. But for some reason, if they manufacture delay, we actually have an alternate bid item in the bid packet within the $2 million. In the event that the manufacturer tell us in June or middle of July, said that the equipment won't be coming till August, we actually have the alternate item in there so that the contractor would do second shift work or weekend work during the fall to put these units onto the roof. That will require additional overtime as well as cranes and other things to do. And they projected the cost would be $150,000 more. So we had that alternate item in there because I was concerned that bidders may not be interested in bidding a project when the time frame is so tight and the manufacturer delivery day is not guaranteed. And I was concerned that the contractor may not be interested in bidding, or they throw the numbers at it that just in case that happens. So we are taking all those concerns into consideration. And so that's why we got some breakout of different numbers in it. Overall, the $2 million within our budget for this project, and we're recommending the approval of this, and we can proceed right away. The contractor is actually contacted the manufacturer already. We're getting submittals already, so we are gearing up to get this project started. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Any questions or comments? Okay, I have none. So let us vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. and unanimous. Alrighty, moving on to item F, approve South Norwalk School Technology Package. 1A, authorize the purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to Total Communications State Contract for TE01 LAN network switches for the South Norwalk Elementary School for a total of $162,831.66. Funds are available in account number noted. And B, authorize the purchasing agent to issue change orders on purchase order for a total not to exceed $8,000. I just want to double check. I should read these. We should vote on these individually because they're individual contracts. Or they're related. We could do it all together.
I don't think it matters too much.
All right, then I'm going to do it all together.
Yeah.
Okay. 2A, authorize the purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to Connecticut Communications State Contract 18PSX0097 for the TE02 phone system for the South Norwalk Elementary School for a total sum of $39,433. Funds are available and account number noted. B, authorize the purchasing agent to issue change orders on purchase order for a total not to exceed $2,000. 3A, authorize the purchasing agent to issue purchase order to Environmental Systems Corporation State Contract 19PSX0015 for the TE03 display signage for the South Norwalk Elementary School for a total sum of $14,173. Funds are available in account number noted. B, authorize the purchasing agent to issue change orders on purchase order for a total not to exceed $1,000. 4A, authorize the purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to Raptor Technologies for the TE04 visitor management system for the South Norwalk Elementary School for a total sum of $1,786.91. Funds are available in account number noted. And B, authorize the purchasing agent to issue change orders on purchase order for a total not to exceed $500. Will someone make the motion? Mr. Burnett. This is exciting because when we're moving the technology, that's a sure sign that we're getting close, and so it's really exciting for this project. So Alan, I'll just turn.
Yeah, let me just introduce this, and Dan is here to give you a little more detail. I mean, on a side note, we were trying to do a little project walk tour on Monday, but the snow on Sunday night kind of ruined that little tour that we were going to have. But in any event, I'm going to still look at potentially do another set a different day for it, but we'll see. The reason why this is coming to the committee is that we are instead of going through, we actually bid this out previously along with all the rest of the furniture, but we didn't get bids. So we're working with purchasing department. We're actually going for the state contract to secure these numbers. And typically, item 2, 3, and 4, because they're less than $100,000, it does not necessarily have to come to Common Council. But since we're bringing the first item, which is over $100,000, we thought that is just consistent, just bring everything to the council, even though it's a little not necessarily redundant, but it's a little more comprehensive in terms of looking at the whole picture. So with that, Dan, if you can just go through it very quickly. Dan? Dan, are you muted? Or?
Dan? There he is.
Sorry about that. I'm home alone with 2 kids, and I had to fix something real quick as I so.
Doesn't it always happen that way?
So let me
waited so patiently.
Basically what Alan kind of summarized, we did go out to bid for the technology as bid package number 1 or number 2 with the FF&E. The FF&E, we did receive bids, and we did award that and bring that to land use last month. We didn't receive any compliant bids for technology, so we looked at this again, and we had the option to go through state contract for a couple of these items. So we had our consultant reach out to a number of contractors, solicit bids. The numbers came back favorably under state contract, so we had an estimate. I think this was included in the backup, but the estimated value for these 4 packages was approximately $258,000. The bids combined are about 225,000 for an approximate savings from our estimate of $33,000. So the numbers did work out for us, and we're able to move forward under the state contract without going back out to bid, which would have made this process a little longer without knowing if we'd receive bids this time around or not. So.
Okay. Questions or comments? Alrighty, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Oh, wait. Did Ms. Dunn, did you vote? I'm sorry. Did I?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. Okay, unanimous. And we will move on to item G. Review request for construction contingency allowance for Norwalk Community Recreation Center project and refer the following action to the Common Council for action. 1, approve an owner construction contingency allowance with Newfield Construction Groups LLC for the new Norwalk Community Recreation Center at 98 South Main Street for a total not to exceed $423,329, account number noted. May I have a motion? Ms. Edie. Alan?
Yeah, very simply and quickly. Last month last month I brought the approval of the guaranteed maximum price to the committee and the Common Council for approval, and it was approved. And I just simply forgot to do the contingency. We typically do a contingency for construction. For different projects, a lot of times, like, DPW work, Parks Department, even building management, we typically do a 10%. But for these major building construction, we typically do a 5%. This is a little less than 5% because we are trying to bring this number as low as possible. So it's about 3.5%, I think it is. It's in my backup memo. At the same time, there's also CM contingency, construction manager contingency too. So we add up together, there's about 5% of contingency. So really just something that I totally forgot last time when I submitted to council. It's pretty straightforward about this. It's I forgot, and here it is.
Okay. We'll forgive you. Mr. Burnett.
Yes, thank you. Just want to confirm that this contingency is still within the budget that we approved, is not expanding outside of the budget?
Right. It's there's I believe in our memo has a backup memo that summarized the total budget amount. This is within our budget.
Very good. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. All right, unanimous. And moving on to H, review request for construction contingency allowance for Cranberry Park Gallagher Mansion Improvement Project and refer the following action to Common Council for action. 1, approve an owner construction contingency allowance with Downs Construction Company LLC for the new Cranberry Park Gallagher Mansion Improvement Project for a total not to exceed $125,640. Funds are available from the state DECD grant, account number noted. Thank you, Ms. Ayers, for that motion. Same thing here.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
it's just different project, different dollar amount. But
okay.
Yep.
Questions or comments? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. All righty, that's unanimous as well. All right, so that's the end of our new business. And so now let's move on to discussion items. First, the school construction project update, Norwalk High, South Norwalk School, and the HVAC.
Yeah, Dan, sorry, Dan.
Yep. Let me share my screen quickly and I will run through the update. I was trying to grab another more recent photo for the high school since some people may have noticed that there's more activity out there recently with a crane and some steel being erected. So I'll start with that picture before if I can zoom in here. But before we jump into the high school update, I just emailed this to myself so that I could share it. But the first building steel erection is going up at the high school. So I wanted to share this photo, and we'll jump into the update real quick. Okay, so here is our standard monthly update. We'll start with the South Norwalk Elementary School. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. So building B, which is the east side of the building, closest to South Main Street. The interior metal framing and masonry walls continue to progress. Hollow metal frames are being installed. MEP rough-in on both floors is pretty far along. Roofing on this side of the building substantially complete. We'll have some pictures of the brick veneer, the exterior of the building, which is underway and probably about 50% complete around the east side of the building. Building A, which is the west side, which is closer to Oxford Street. The way they have the building separated, you can see in this photo, on the right side is the middle of the building, to the right of the stairs. And to the left side is what we call Building A on the west side. They completed more work on the east side of the building first so that they could temporarily enclose that, start running temporary heat, and begin working towards finished work over the winter into the spring. And then the west side, where the stair is located, and to the left of this photo, is a little further behind, but they are on both floors with interior framing and the MEP overhead, and they're moving right along there. And other good news is that the city did complete the purchases of the properties on Oxford Street and Meadow Street Extension. We did give authorization to the contractor to begin with that work. The demolition, starting with some environmental remediation, is underway right now. So those structures will be removed in the next couple of weeks. And then from there, we'll develop that additional part of the site to be incorporated into the South Norwalk School campus.
I just want to add that area, the construction cost for the additional Oxford properties and the site is about $2.2 million. And we finally, after about 6 months, we finally got state approval to include that cost as part of this project. So we are eligible for approximately 60% because certain items like the basketball court, it's not fully reimbursable. But our 2.2 million, 60%, we're going to get an additional $1 million reimbursement from the state, so which is good.
A little more about this photo. The architect put this together. Here's a photo of the progress of the main stair as you enter the main entrance of the building. And to the right is the rendering. So you can kind of see it coming to life with the glazing up above, the wood ceiling. And then you'll have the stairs for the communicating stair between the floors, and then the space on the right for activities. And we'll jump into a few photos. So this is the main entrance on the south side of the building. So as you pull up across the front here, we have this canopy, and then the main entrance, which is the temporarily plywood entrance here right now. And then the bump up you see in the middle of this, the building is where the main stair area is. As you walk in and you disperse to the different floors of the building. This is the pre-K K entrance on the west side of the building. So this is the separate drop off for pre-K and K grade levels off of Oxford Street. And that's the entrance canopy and the entrance over here. This side, like I said, is a little is lagging behind the other side of the building, and we'll jump into some of the brick finishes now. So this is the rear of the school. I believe the music room is behind this wall. This is the entrance back into the cafeteria. And then over to the right here, you see the pre-K and K classrooms on the back of the building. They've had the air vapor barrier installed. And then the brick veneer is going to follow along this elevation as well. This is the interior. This is the media center. These windows to the left here are one of the drop-down areas where the roof is lower. This allows the building to get natural light into the interior spaces. And this is a two-level space within the media center. Here we have, it's a second floor view looking down into the cafeteria area. You can see the wall framing going up along this corridor. There's glazing opening so that you can look down into the space below. Over to the right here is one of the classrooms. And you can see the large windows that are in most of the classrooms. Also back here at the back side of the classrooms with a lot of natural light.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So you will be able to see the in this photo you'll be able to see the cafeteria, and you have classrooms, or like, so are those windows?
There's this window is in the corridor, and then across the corridor is the wall to the classroom. I can't see, but there's a door entrance either on one side of this wall. You'd only have a vision glass panel from the classroom into the corridor. You wouldn't have.
No, I mean from the corridor to the down at the bottom, you will be able to see the cafeteria?
Yes.
And that it will go around the whole circle. You will be able to see the cafeteria in this.
There's
rectangle.
If we look right here, I don't know if I can try to mark it up quickly, but this is it won't let me mark it up. So this is a window opening. So this is where you can see down into the cafeteria.
Okay, so those are going to be closed walls.
Yeah, all this metal framing will get sheetrock and be closed up, and then this wall will continue to this corner. It's just in progress. There's a couple windows as you walk down the hallway for interest to, for one, share some natural light from the outside areas, as well as look down and create some interest into the cafeteria area. If there's no other questions, I'll move on.
Yeah, I do have a question.
Yep.
Dan, if you can go back a slide to the one more. Yeah. You said these are classrooms on the back end, classroom windows.
Yeah, this is the pre-K or kindergarten along the back here with the bump out window.
Right, and it appears that those windows are ground level, correct?
Yes.
Are there any special, are the windows in any way special, any special protection or film on those windows that are ground level?
Yes.
Yeah, so and I don't recall the exact terminology, but the windows on ground floor, there's whether it's a code requirement or a state of Connecticut requirement, is for it's, I don't want to say vandalism resistant, but there's a requirement and a standard that they cannot be broken into. You can't easily, without on your own, break in or get in through these windows. It's a higher grade. I don't have the term available right now. I don't know if you remember, Alan.
No, no, it's like you can't throw a rock in it and break apart. It's everything. It's like it will stay intact. So it's a intrusion prevention kind of thing.
Yeah, I think something along the lines of intrusion standard glass, that there is a higher standard glass on the lower level windows around the first floor of the entire building.
I recall when we were designing Cranberry School, which has a large number of windows, that there was some type of special film or protection that would prevent an object going through the window.
Right. It's a standard requirement for all our school buildings. In fact, even the existing buildings, I think through Bill Hodel's office, there was money that we spent in terms of putting films on them to so that you can't throw a chairs into it and then the window will fall apart and you can get in or out kind of thing. It's not ballistic glass, but at the same time, it is an intrusion prevention kind of thing. Any glass within 6 feet from the ground has that protection on it. So this window has that. The only place that ballistic is really the front entrance.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions for South Norwalk, I'll jump to the high school. So it's been a lot of the same on the updates. We are still completing perimeter walls, interior footings, and piers. So foundation work should be completed in the near future. We have about a third of the building slab on grade placed. Some of the additional areas are still open as we complete underground utilities in those areas. And then we did have the crane for the high school delivered. Showed you that photo. That was delivered end of last week. They began erecting late on Tuesday afternoon, and they've made pretty good progress so far. And they'll continue. It looks like approximately 4 weeks for the first section of the building. That would be the Norwalk High School wing. And then it varies anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 weeks for all the different crane pad locations that they have planned to be able to erect the entire building. So every 2 weeks you go by the building, it'll look like another section has popped out of the ground. And we're hoping to continue moving forward with that. Couple of photos. Here's a drone photo looking down on the building. Over to the left here for your orientation, this is the existing drop-off for the Norwalk High School. The photo I showed you just before I jumped into this presentation, the steel erection is happening right in this area right now. And as you can see here, this section of the building has the slab on grade already poured. A little difficult to see in this photo with the remnants of the snow, but steel erection started here. Underground utilities with a focus on this utility area. This is the back of house where the main electrical room, emergency electrical, the fire pump room, all of these spaces have a large amount of underground utilities, and everything needs to tie back to this area. You can see to the right here, the pool. The pool has been poured and backfilled. It's been leak tested, and they're preparing in the next week here to begin installing the coping on this. And these photos were taken. I send this out for the facilities meeting, and then it's used for a couple of these meetings. So these photos were in late January. This is the main electrical room and the emergency electrical room. Just gives you an idea of the number of conduits that either are coming in from the outside or coming back to this area, and all that coordination underground. You can see running out to the back here, a number of conduits that feed the different areas of the building. Here's one of the Utility runs across the building. You can see the pool in the background here. This is an area that's the interior piers have been poured and they're prepping for the next slab on grade pour. Over in this area, you can see Narragansett in the background here. And that's one of the next areas they'll be pouring a slab. That's all we have for photos in the high school. Are there any high school questions?
I have a question if you don't mind. Are we on? Oh, you're about to show us if we were on
No.
schedule.
Yeah, this is the overall schedule, but yes, currently steel was slated to begin beginning of February. We had the crane delivered very end of January. We started on time with that work, and there's no right now overall schedule concerns. We're on target right now. So got a long way to go, but so far so good.
Since you're talking about schedule, just coming back to South North School, we are on schedule and we are on budget. I think we are making such a progress that I think typically all school construction projects, the project team will notify this committee and the Board of Education Facility Committee by middle to end of April this year to confirm that our ability to finish South North School by, I believe, is let's say August 1st. So that because the school need to plan in terms of moving the kids into the building by September or middle of August. So again, the final confirmation of our schedule and our completion day is really middle to end of April. That's when we're going to confirm. And the next one is really about HVAC. I think we've gone through it already, so I don't want to take everybody's time. And just go through the stuff we talked about already. So there's a little more detailed information in terms of dollar amount for the project, each one of these projects, and the city share and the state share. So we will continue to display this information for future update. But generally speaking, I've gone through it already before about hiring the CM as well as moving forward with Brookside as one of the first project that we are getting started on.
Alan, I actually have a question on the South Norwalk School. Do you have an update where we're at with the taking of the spur line? I know
we owned it.
What's that?
We owned it now.
The spur line.
Actually, we went through eminent domain.
Negotiations are done.
Yeah, we actually got for eminent domain. And then the court has accepted it, and we actually deposited the money. The dollar amount, I forgot what it was. We put the money into the courts, and we are technically own the property. And traffic and mobility is taking the lead together with DPW, start planning about the roadway realignment and the rotary that they're talking about. I think they started those projects process. And I don't personally get involved in it because sometimes just too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing. So I purposely stay away from it.
You let the legal department handle that.
Yeah, as well as the design of the street and stuff. Yeah. So I just want to focus on the school construction, and I want to limit my involvement. Purposely trying to stay away. So that anyway, if they tell me something, I listen, but otherwise I don't get involved in it at all.
Yeah, it's just good to know that that it was finally resolved, because I know that those negotiations were difficult and took a while. So I'm really glad to hear that that's been taken care of and all the TMP issues can move forward.
Yeah, altogether I believe it was 5 or 6 properties. Dan, is it 5 or 6? I think it's 6, right? The 2 property that we had most challenges on is the spur line property as well as the corner property on Meadow Street Extension, Oxford at the corner. So those 2 properties we had to acquire through eminent domain. And everything is done. We own the property. It's just at some point in the future, the court will help to analyze the financial side of the business kind of thing. So, again, we deposit the money that we thought is appropriate based on the appraisals, and the rest of it is just to be determined.
Yep. Okay. Great. Thank you. All right. Any other questions about the schools? Looking forward to when we can finally reschedule that tour. It's exciting to go into a school that's under construction like that, So I know we've got, what do we have, like 7 to 10 days of possibly some.
Barbara, I'm actually have started the process. So I have some dates from the superintendent, and I'm
Great.
checking with the mayor's office now.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, I always call this fun tour because it's like, sorry,
Mhm.
Barbara, you don't get to speak, It's no speeches or anything. It's really like for all of us that go
Yeah.
through all these approvals, seeing these projects every month and approving these things, and really like I think it's very nice to walk through it and just experience how the building is put together. And you know what? It's compared to other schools, these buildings that we do like Cranberry, I think we are creating some very interesting spaces. As we were talking about, the main corridor at the entrance lobby for South North School, it's very seldom we have that in any of our schools. So these are really unique opportunity to create architecture and spaces that are very welcoming. Like how often do we have cafeteria that's 2-story high kind of thing, right? But it's very interesting space. So walking through experiencing while during construction, I think it's very nice to go through it before the walls goes up, see how things are put together. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, so let's move on to the last item on the agenda, which is to continue the discussion on facility management. This was a question that was brought up. Actually, Ms. Ayers had asked the question, about the properties that you currently manage, the few properties that building management does not manage, and what the challenges are in terms of of you possibly taking those buildings and managing them. And what I've come to understand since we started talking about it is it really boils down to it being a matter of cost. So, Alan, I just want to, we've talked about it a good bit. So I just want to turn it over to you right now to, just give us a rundown.
Yes.
What the challenges are.
Joanne, you can just put that up. This is something I put together. You've seen this list before. The first part of this list is these are the buildings: City Hall, Health Department, and on and on. We go down the list. These are all the building the city building management department currently manages. Some of these most all of these buildings we are responsible for the infrastructure, the boiler, the roof, the on and on. The building condition kind of thing. Not all of these property we provide janitorial service. City Hall, we have full janitorial services. Health Department, we do. And North Museum, we don't because there's not a lot of people in the building and they take care of it themselves. Police headquarters, we do full janitorial. Fire headquarters, we only provide janitorial for the office space on the 3rd floor. Typically and traditionally, the firefighter take care of the space. So it's a little bit equity thing because we do not manage and provide janitorial service for all the fire station. So for the fire headquarters, the fire station portion of it, we want to be consistent that we don't provide them additional service while the other fire station doesn't get it. South North Library and Main Library, the janitorial service is being provided by their own staff. So on and on. So again, not all these buildings we provide janitorial services, but building management manage the equipment and all. Just want to let you know that I think most of these buildings have full building systems, that's like fully air conditioned and all that. But some building may not. When you talk about Mill Hill and things like that, sometimes they don't. There's no air conditioning in the building and stuff. So the level of sophistication on building system are not that high. So there's not a lot of controls and technology in this building. Some of these buildings are just very basic. And then when you talk about other municipal building that we do not manage, and they are managed by the departments right now. Lockwood Matthews Mansion has come to Lakewood, the city of building management with the improvement, the project they're implementing right now. It's probably like $16, $17 million altogether. they are putting very sophisticated mechanical system into the building. I mean, in the old days, they barely have a boiler that works kind of thing. So they hire a mechanical contractor to service it, once a year kind of thing. It runs or whatever. But with these systems that we put in this building, it gets much more complicated and sophisticated in terms of managing the operation. Is their position, and I generally speaking agree with them, that they're not in the position to manage that type of equipment in the building. I mean, they can go out and hire a mechanical contractor, but it's daily management. It's not something they could do themselves. So they had approached us. I didn't approach them. They had approached the building management and asked us to consider to include them as part of our building management services. And we are not talking about janitorial services or anything like that. We are talking about building systems and equipment and stuff. The other building that had come to our attention from the fire department, the 4 fire station, the Meadow Street Fire Station, Westport Avenue Fire Station, Broad River. Oops. Joanne went away. And East Norwalk Fire Station, which is not a city building. I did not have a conversation with the fire chief, but I understand that the fire department has approached Neil Randy from our office to start a conversation about the possibility of city managing those buildings. I don't know where we are. Again, these are the buildings that we do not manage. Parks Department has the Parks Garage. Again, that building does not have a lot of sophistication in the building. Basically, they have a boiler system and pretty much is kind of thing. Gallagher Mansion, and then we are doing a project now, and they have boilers, and we're actually adding some air conditioning to the main public spaces, not the entire building, just the main area. And other buildings are potentially Cranberry Park and Patrick Beach, the bathrooms and other miscellaneous building. And most of the building are seasonal building. There's no mechanical equipment in it. I don't know what to do with these buildings, or whether we want to, in the future, sometime in the future, when they consolidate into whether the Parks Department will continue to maintain and repair them, or whether look to building management to help support that effort. Outside of these, the only other ones that totally outside my understanding is the parking garages and stuff that's under contract, outside services. So it's being managed by outside entity right now. So I don't believe that those are building with garages and stuff that Yankee Doodle Garage and the Maritime Garage is places that we need to get involved in. I don't know, but just want to reference them. So because the question come up, what other buildings? Other than that, I don't think there's anything more. I mean, I know Oak Hills has the restaurant, but again, these are separate authority that's the city set up. So I assume that those management of those buildings were under the authority's jurisdiction. So generally speaking, I think these are it. DPW have like a pump station, and there's no equipment in there. It's just a little, 30 by 30 square building with some sewer pumps in there and stuff like that. So it's nothing that the sophistication that require, mechanical staffing to maintain in terms of the building structure. I think that when we look at these buildings, I think if the city, I understand the question about centralizing the management and all. I don't think the departments are putting a lot of money into maintenance and repair of this building, and they fix it when they need to, kind of thing. I think there is benefit about when building has more mechanical equipment and condition that need to be monitored. I think it's a good idea for the city to centralize the management of this facility. But at some point when we look at it, as we add more building to building management's responsibility, one building may not require to provide additional staffing. At some point becomes an additional position kind of thing. So it's something that maybe is a long-term strategy to look at what this building, whether we want to increase the building management's overall portfolio, where there's a gradual process that we can look at for the next couple of years, whatever, to see what the interest levels are and what the staffing cost would be. But anyway, recently, I mean, I think 2 years ago, we took on the Historic Commission building, which included the Mill Hill Park buildings, and also Matthew Parks has the two buildings, I believe, the Gatehouse and the contemporary printmaking space building. So anyway, I think I'm gonna stop. I think this is just a conversation, and let's see where we go.
I have a question, Alan. So, Lockwood Matthews has come and asked, and the fire department has come and asked about the possibility of falling under building management. And so, and that particular item got addressed, I think when you presented the operating budget, what your operating budget needs are going to be, and that was, I think, back in November. So, and you've been going through the operating budget, meeting with the CFO and with the mayor and talking about all this. Are you getting a sense that there's an openness or ability to fund an extra position this year?
I think most of you knows me. I'm not here to make the department bigger than necessary, but I think is it the right thing to do in terms of building management, taking on some of these responsibilities? I think my answer is yes, but at the same time is that at some point, again, when you add a certain number of buildings, it becomes additional staffing. For this current budget year, I do very much support the city should take on the responsibility of managing the building system at Lockwood Matthews Mansion. I just don't think as a nonprofit group and non-technical folks that operating the building, I think they do need help. I think don't quote me on this. I think the way Neil from our side, Neil Rennie is looking at it, I think because right now we're managing the 98 South Main Street right now because of construction, that building is going off our building management responsibility. So I think Neil is going to take on the operating of the mechanical system and things for Lockwood Matthews Mansion in lieu of 98 South Main Street. So I don't believe there's really any cost additional staffing involved because we shift one building to the other. But as time goes on, when we finish 98 South Main Street, that building becomes operational, then we will have to look at it at that point. So I think for this year's budget, I don't think it's going to hit us. But I think potentially when 98 South Main Street come back on board in terms of our need for our services, I think there is a potential. And then at that point, we want to consider if the city interested in it, we can consider the fire stations or whatever kind of thing, and potentially there would be another staff person that added to the overall staff level for building management, so that we move people in and out of this building to do what we need to do to manage this building. So for the upcoming year, we are going to take on Lockwood Matthews Mansion without any additional expenses to the city because we dropped 98 South Main Street for 1 year.
I see. Okay. Ms. Ayers.
Yes, thank you. Alan, this is really not directed to you, but really to my colleagues. In the presentation of the information that was just presented to us, on the lower part of the list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think there's 8 things. If I'm understanding what was stated, 2 of those 8 things, those 8 properties have already been asked to be taken on by building management. I think we need to really be talking about what is the plan to bring the other 6 on. It makes no sense. It's really inefficient to have all these buildings come under the Department of Building Management and have these 6 just lingering out there. That just isn't it to me. That's inefficient when the expertise, the specialties, the people who know how to facilitate the contracts that have the mechanisms are all ready set up in this department. So Barbara can tell you, I am a staunch advocate for us to align ourselves to be better building managers by putting all of our property in one place. And I will continue to say that, but I really think the council with obviously the support and the covering of the mayor's office, need to be thinking strategically of how we can make this happen. The list of buildings not being under management is shrinking by people saying, "Hey, we need your expertise." So if they know they need the expertise, we have acknowledged that it can be more efficient by doing it this way. I really think the next step is to come together with a strategic plan to make this viable. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, and what I hear in your comments, every time it's come up, this is about efficiency, right? We want to be operating the most efficiently as we can. And also we talked about the fact that, it really came to a head. This whole issue came to a head last year with the Westport Avenue Fire Station. And so I think, we really want to avoid that kind of thing happening again. So I guess what I'm hearing from Alan is, this is really a matter, a budgetary matter, right? And so while you're able to take on Lockwood Matthews this year without adding staff, when 98 South Main Street opens is when you really need to look at maybe adding an additional staff member. Is that what I'm hearing? Am I
Yeah,
correct there?
I think it's more than just one building. I think when 90 South Main Street comes online,
Uh-huh.
I don't think at some point a building get online triggers the need for another staff person. So it's not just because of we want to hire one person for one building kind of thing.
Right, understood.
It's
Yeah.
overall workload. So I think when 97 come on board, and I think potentially we pick up a couple of these other buildings next year kind of thing. At that point, we will require another staff person. And there's different type of staff person we require too. Like last year, we decided to get a apprenticeship position, which is a less expensive to have.
Mhm.
And because the way these are not city union positions, these are actually local 30, which is a mechanical building management manager kind of thing. The technical mechanical. It's more like a handyman a little bit. It's not like it's not an electrician. It's not a plumber kind of thing, but facility guy. But they are part of union. But then when we have a few staff person that's part of that union that working for the city, we have the ability to hire an extra person as a apprenticeship position, so that it's less expensive, but yet they will learn the trades and learn the building, and when somebody retire, they will fill that gap, that space kind of thing. So overall, we do look at the strategy to manage costs when we do add staffing, and also again, we will look at if we do take on one building, two building, at some point, we would talk to the finance department about staffing level kind of thing. So when the question come up, when we look at all of these buildings, say, well, how much is the cost kind of thing? It's hard to say. It's a little bit interesting too. It's like the parks department has their own electricians, plumbers, and carpenters.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's a little different from what we do in building management. We don't have those, but we don't feel that we have a workload that requires to have a full-time electrician, plumbers. We do contract it out. And we look at that balance too. At some point, if there's enough work for a plumber or electrician, we would probably ask for a position so that we don't. But sometimes we got to find a balance between whether it's better to go out and hire an electrician outside and or have an electrician on staff kind of thing. We have to look at how much workload we have, whether it's cost effective to hire a position versus contract out services. At this point, we don't have those positions as a staff person, so we contract out. It doesn't mean it costs us more money or anything. I believe we are still cost effective in terms of hiring out versus having our own staff, because you don't have to, we only need hire people, hire a contractor when you needed to, so we're not paying, soft hours kind of thing for our own staffing to sit around. So there's a balance that we evaluate. At the same time, it's like, when you're talking about Parks Garage, like, since they have the electrician and plumber, like, do we want to get involved in that building? It's kind of, I think we should have those conversations to try and understand how that building may be different from the other building. I don't know, but I think we need to talk about it. So I haven't approached anybody about these other buildings. So it's just, again, back to the Lockwood Matthews mentioned, because I'm involved in the construction of the building, and I do know the complexity of the mechanical system. And when the question come up about from the Lockwood Matthews mentioned that, you know what, boy, we don't have the ability to manage these equipment, and they actually approached Neil to see what the city's thoughts are, and I supported it because knowing what's being put in, it's they're not able to manage it. So anyway, so I think we should continue to talk about this stuff. I don't know how, but when, but at the same time, it's I guess I'll take the lead from the committee, and maybe we should have a meeting set aside. We can talk about it in a little more detail.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is certainly something we can take offline and continue to discuss. Maybe, set up a meeting in your office, Ms. Ayers, if we could, if you're open to that, just to continue talking about and strategizing about, how to create more efficiencies around this.
Yeah, when you get to the restrooms and the bathrooms and Cat Pasture Beach and stuff, there's no mechanical system. It's really an envelope.
Right.
If a Parksville has a plumber that they use already, and a lot of the stuff because these buildings function on weekends, we don't staff people on weekends. So I don't know how Parks does it in terms of do they pay the staff overtime or not? I have no idea. But at the same time, is that they may be in a better position to provide services because their staff will run on weekends because again that's where the utilization is maximized. So again, I think it's like library. They do their own janitorial because they open on Saturdays and stuff and late hours and stuff, while our staff doesn't. And then having a staff person there can respond better. And also they are currently their staff is part of the city's union kind of thing, and then we hire outside janitorial services, which are also union workers, but at the same time, a different union than the city municipal union kind of thing. So there are those conversations to have. I'm not supportive or against anything here. It's just I think we should have a kind of in-depth conversation about what's the best strategy like Councilwoman Ahn says, it's what's the most efficient way to manage this, understanding the needs of the department as well as the staffing that's available already or not available. So I think we need to kind of get into the parts of those discussions.
Okay. All right. Anything else at this time? Okay, so Ms. Ayers, I'll follow up with you, and Alan will follow up and set something up so we can talk offline and keep the discussion going about how we can continue strategizing here on this. And if that's it, I'll call for a motion to adjourn. Ms. Dunn? Ms. Dunn had her hand up very quickly. Yeah, it's been a long meeting, but a very good, very productive meeting. And so I want to thank you all for your time tonight and the really great conversation. And with that, I will take a vote for adjournment. All in favor? All right, great. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night.